All right, it is 6 o'clock. This is Gilliam County Court Strategic Roundtable meeting. It is Tuesday, July 8th, and we're in the Gilliam County Court room. The meeting's been called to order. Quorum has been established. All commissioners are present and we'll have the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. The purpose is somebody coming in. I'm kidding. Hello, Catherine. All right, the purpose of this meeting today is within Gilliam County Strategic Plan. Under Goal 4, it states that we will host an annual roundtable discussion between cities, schools, other taxing districts, and local organizations to share ideas, identify common goals, and foster collaboration between communities. So that's the purpose of the meeting today. And we also have a few other topics on the agenda under well, we actually have the strategic plan to discuss, just to go through each goal. And I wanted to lay out Gilliam County funding structure so that people understand where our funding comes from, which also falls within the strategic plan. I'll cover that when we get to that goal regarding managing the budget, goal 3. And wanted to discuss Gilliam County's projects that we're working on and talk about, get people thinking about if there's ideas for amending the strategic plan in the future. So this is just going to be a discussion. There will be no decisions today. I just want to hear from you and we can explain anything you want to know about our structure, projects, funding. Also, we will be having some upcoming strategic investment program agreements coming up, and I want the community to start thinking about what we need to be thinking about as far as asks for those. We're not going to be able to think of those all ourselves, so we need the community to help us. Also, there was an idea of a community leadership team, which I'll speak to, as well as Brooklyn, who talked to us about that. Okay, so
county leadership team.
County leadership team.
Not community.
County leadership team, which we'll get into it, which will include the community, if it even is an idea we want to pursue. Do we have any general public comment? We just want to go right into the strategic plan. Okay. Goal 1 is to foster an organizational culture where people want to work and do business. This is often an internal situation under 1, 2, or 3. This strategic plan was put in place in 2021. It's a 5-year strategic plan, was revised in 2023. Is there any input on goal 1? I think that all 3 of the strategies are what we still embrace. I think that's true. Goal 2, promote growth and prosperity throughout all of Gilliam County. We'll go ahead and put them up. Okay. Did you have your hand up?
I did, but I think I was a little early. I need to wait for number 2.
Okay, good. We're gonna pull up the.
I
Pull
was
up
wondering
the-
if we could hop back to goal 1 just real quickly. Is this specific to Gilliam County and its employees?
Yes, that's
Okay.
how I'm reading that
Okay.
particular organizational culture, meaning within Gilliam County.
Okay,
So that really wouldn't-
internal.
Yeah, that's one that is internal. I feel the rest of the strategies are community-wide or external. Great, yeah. So goal 2, promote growth and prosperity throughout all of Gilliam County. For strategy one, for broadband, I hope I get some input on this, maybe Catherine, perhaps, okay. When this was put in place, since that time, there has been a grant that has changed and evolved since it started. There was Gilliam County received a planning grant for fiber, and we also had a change in federal administration, which affected the rollout of that grant. And we also had a private company put fiber in the south rural portion of Gilliam County, which affected how those grant funds could be used. So therefore, that grant was narrowed to North Rural Gilliam County. And then when the federal administration changed, some of the requirements for those grants also changed, opening up different types of internet as opposed to just straight fiber. So the grant has changed. We're still pursuing it. We are pre-qualified for the grant. And it's just, isn't it going to be as extensive as it originally was? The one thing I thought of, Catherine, was we need to get Rally Network to come talk to us and find out what homes they are extending service to and what their time frame is for South Gilliam County.
So if we could leave all of Gilliam County in that, because a lot of Raleigh is not getting this to our homes, getting this to our furnace, looking, I can attest to this.
Yeah, that's what
And I think it needs to stay in there, but it would be a good idea to bring back in
I'm.
Raleigh and let me know.
Find out what their plan is and how far is it going to be, and then do we need to have some consultation on how do we get it the rest of the way? Which homes are gonna make sense to actually provide that? And then we also have to ask ourselves, are we going to consider it like a utility where it's gonna go to every home now that we have Starlink? Or is it going to be those homes that do want the fiber?
I hope fiber can be offered. I mean, Starlink is great, but most of us are on Starlink, but nothing beats fiber in the ground. And it's the gold standard. So, but I would gladly give you some contacts of who to get a hold of with Raleigh and we can have that discussion.
Cannon, I believe. Jonathan Cannon.
Came the
Yeah.
last time, but I think he's still there.
Okay.
He's the government liaison.
Yeah.
But also to the owner Marcus Spot, just to the city of Solid, so
Chris.
we might be having some.
Okay, sure.
If Gib Wilkins would like to speak, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been talking to the Raleigh guys for the fiber to our city farm location. And this is like a 5-year project, and like fiber to city farm is not going to be for 3 or 4 years from now.
Okay.
So it's going to be a long, drawn out project.
They have until 2028 is what they told us last, but they thought that they could get it earlier, and it doesn't look like it, because I thought they mentioned 25 or 26 and we're out there. So
Oh,
I think
Okay.
it'll still be a while. I mean, the fiber's out on our road. I don't know if they came all the way to your place.
Yeah, they went down Buckford's driveway, probably a quarter of a mile, that's why it's confusing.
mhm,
They like stopped at the county road for me, but went past the private gate to Buckford, and
mhm,
it was a little bit different for
Yeah.
but
right.
There's fiber in a lot of the areas.
Well,
Goes right in front of my house.
mine too.
Yeah.
And maybe you can speak to this too. Like WindWave, I contacted, they gave me a quote,
Yeah.
what it would take to get to my home. And I didn't think it was too bad. I'd pay for it myself.
I think up to almost to my flow is
Mhm.
Raleigh, correct? Like my
Oh.
timer is,
I don't know.
so I think they go there. They were in discussion with using the county and or the city fiber line from
Mhm,
Arlington.
mhm,
So I could still ask them if they're in need of that, if they're
Mhm.
looking for a deal. And I think that if I speak for the city
mhm.
just wants that fiber.
Yes, on it use.
That's the bottom.
Right,
Let's get it.
right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that Raleigh can also use that fiber. the window fiber first, by you guys.
Right.
By your house.
So where's Raleigh from? Who are they?
John Day. I mean, now they're a national company, so I think they're from like Arkansas or Alabama. But, their office here was in Mount Vernon, and it remains there, so.
Oh, right.
But they were more detailed.
For anyone who wanted to connect to the line on their own,
It sounds easy.
okay,
It's okay, because then once you connect, you're also gonna have to pay for that with fiber. And
Right.
it's not as cheap as going out and
Mhm.
buying a Starlink package.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
or anything like that. I
Mhm.
mean, that, you would have to control it on fiber at that point, or with fiber. So you really do want someone with the north end to be able to be the ISP and the service provider. So internet service provider.
okay,
Because you can't really be your own, because you're
But-
buying wholesale, is what you're doing with that line that's going.
but WindWave would not be,
They
I mean,
could,
sorry.
but you're talking probably $300 or $400 a month to get it to your house once you connect it.
okay.
Yeah.
We did get a quote to the Brain Lab and it was only 150 a
A
month.
month,
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
yeah.
And I
So-
think they might already go to,
Mhm. They go to Arden Mills.
so that's probably why. And
Okay.
I know they do it for some commercial customers.
Mm-hmm,
They don't really like to do it together. I mean, they might, but
okay,
but I
okay.
think your idea is sticking with trying to get some grants, and then all of us in the common school district, I believe that's how they rally.
Yeah, Raleigh was the, by Juice School District,
Well,
yeah.
almost. Anyway, I think we just need to keep pressure on Raleigh,
Mhm,
get it
okay.
to all of us.
okay. So we need to have them, put them on the agenda.
Does Arlington TV co-op fall under that category of being in Raleigh position in the north end?
I don't know. They didn't apply for this pot of money. But for this grant, we have pole setting agreements with Pacific Power as well as Columbia Basin Electric. So the idea is on the electric poles. So, you know, Barry
And
was
that's
pretty
the problem.
expensive, but yeah,
I mean, we had
mhm,
Century making our phone to be out for a month at a
right,
time, and
yeah.
we don't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I have a question. If, Starlinks, I look on the internet, they get, the first opening package is $50 a month.
Mhm,
And then from there you can move up and you can get probably everything you need for 100 or less a month from Starlink.
right.
So I
We all
can't
have it.
understand, I don't understand why fiber, we can see easily that it's not as cost effective. It costs a lot more and it'll actually not go to a lot of people, because if you have a 2-mile driveway, and a lot of them do, they are out there, they're not gonna be able to wanna spend that kind of money when they can get less than $100 a month, they can have their internet.
I would
down.
challenge you to find Starlink for $100.
Yeah.
Well, I have my phone here, I would show it to you.
Fine, but I mean, I've had Starlink for 4 years. And it's gone up, I think all of us that have had Starlink.
It's 120.
120 now.
120.
Well,
But
I'll
I mean,
give
it's
you-
still not a bad
I'll give
idea.
you-
My whole thing is fiber is in the ground. It's not gonna be a satellite, it's not privately owned. I've been at it a long time, Lynn, and so, I mean, we can argue the fact of packages and stuff like that. I'm gonna tell you, I am hoping,
I
and
understand.
I agree that
And I
I
appreciate
might
that.
have to pay for the last half month.
Right.
All you have
Maybe
to
a
do is
cost
just
share.
Google Starlink, and I won't have to show you where to get it, you can find it for yourself.
Okay. So, okay, invest in proactive, creative solutions to the housing shortage. Anything on that? We have things going in Arlington. We have some things coming in Condon. We, I think, had a good discussion at county court about some possible ideas and help. I think the, hotel property, whatever that's gonna be a positive. When we get to that, so,
In Arlington,
in Arlington, yeah.
how the
Mhm.
community already looks
Mhm.
and just so much.
Yeah,
What is it?
oh, the
What does that
hotel.
mean, a positive?
Oh, it's positive that, that there was an IGA presented, it has been sent to our attorney. We'll be acting on it as soon as we get that back, to utilize some of our economic development money to incentivize development, whether that's housing or some other kind of development.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
The challenge too is with home builders is everybody's so busy, the Dalles or Hermiston area. And that's kind of a challenge. There's so much work going on in other communities that, I know that for a fact because
You're working.
I'm working on one. So it's challenging to get somebody that's hungry enough to come to travel, they can work locally and not have to travel. And
It did work with the ball field project. They did come out and stayed and that was last summer.
well, Lynn was probably the last
Mm-hmm,
local contractor
yeah.
in
Right.
Arlington, so.
Mhm.
Well, there's some there now.
Also, the second story housing that the county is investing in collaboration with the chamber, I think is a huge win for Main Streets. If
Right.
that's going anywhere.
Well,
or
that's a
not.
good question. That we
It's
need to bring the,
creative, and I think whether it's utilized now, but is available tomorrow or 2 years from
Mhm.
now. Still having that as an option to incentivize,
Mhm.
more people to live on Main
Right.
Street.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, I think that we need to follow up with the chamber on that and have them come present the plan. So,
Doors locked down there. You guys, I propped it open. so-
Oh, thank you.
oh, it's locked now?
It was supposed to be unlocked, I apologize.
I thought we had it unlocked till 6:30.
It's supposed to be.
Okay,
There's one other comment I'd like to make about the IGA for the old motel property. One of the beauties that come out of the Economic Enhancement Fund dollars is the city has a little power that way to be able to determine what we get on the land, how it works. Now, even if we have people that are willing to buy it without the incentive, then that takes our ability to direct the course that best serves the needs of our city. So that's why, that economic enhancement funding that we're asking for is so important to be able to get what we need and what we want.
okay. I think this would be a good time, maybe. Jed, were you wanting to talk about anything specifically on this?
Just more generally.
Okay.
Of the value of the countywide growth in these areas that have been. Back to broadband, it's good to keep that momentum going, even though it takes years
Right.
to get a viable grant support. Keep working at it.
Mm-hmm,
Housing the same way,
mm-hmm,
working at it.
yeah.
Angles on the Second Street project, second
Mm-hmm,
project,
yeah.
ball field project,
Mhm.
Arlington housing project. Keep that vision and that momentum going forward, to all work together and make it happen.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah. And the idea that everything's on the table, right? That you're not ruling it out, but you're
Mhm.
using language that it
Mhm.
says invest in proactive, creative solutions.
mm-hmm,
And so
right,
if you have an idea,
Mhm.
bring it.
yes.
And present it, and let's take the years or the time that it takes to
Right.
make it happen.
Mm-hmm,
Catherine, I'd be curious, since 2021, the number of houses that have been, put up, it's significant
Mhm.
in both Condon and Arlington, and
right.
something to celebrate,
Mm-hmm,
for
yeah.
sure.
I gave that to county court probably 2 years ago of how many houses, and also the cost, what the houses are selling for has increased double.
Yeah.
Since in the last probably 6 or 7 years. Yeah. I guess on the housing too is I would like to see, one of the things I've pitched to several different people and have gotten no traction yet is I would like to have either sister cities or sister counties. And if Oregon's doing a bunch of construction, I'm wondering if we can get some state housing grants, maybe through the KID or something like that to help us that if they're gonna build 300 units, in that contract, you have to build 6 units.
Mm.
You know, or even 3 units, or in Arlington, or somewhere in the county. And I'm wondering if League of Oregon Cities, now that the session's over, or AOC, the Association of Oregon Counties, might be able to help us with some type of partnership. It might even be something with OSBA or something like that, that we might be able to get some traction by partnering up with all of these and having maybe Morrow County as a partner, Salem County.
Right. And did they use any other money, or was it developers that came in because of the growth that was happening? You see,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure they had developers, I think the port up there has, since it's so big and so lucrative, that they have an economic development because of how big they are. But it could be, you know,
Or
Moral.
this might be a good time before we get too deep in the woods, because I think that some of this ties back into Gilliam County's funding. And so, a budget committee member, Wally Powell, he said, we were talking about the budget, and he said, Gilliam County's funding is a three-legged stool, isn't it? And I said, yeah, it is. And it's property taxes, it's the Economic Enhancement Fund, and it's the SIP funds. Those were the three major areas of funding. Our general fund operates on approximately $5 million, and that's property taxes. It's very important to have strong law enforcement, but just as an example, they take up about half of that. So that means all the unfunded mandates that come from the state are paid with the other half of that. We have the Economic Enhancement Ordinance, and that has to be earmarked for economic enhancement. Is it gonna be a problem to pull that up now? No. Okay. I know this is kind of right in the middle of this, but it might spur some conversations about, okay, go ahead and go to the funding. So this is the distribution of funds in the Economic Enhancement Ordinance, and it also amounts to about $5 million a year. This is from waste management. This comes from the tipping fees. $2 and I think 71 cents now a ton is what comes to us. And that is broken out in these areas. The ordinance has been amended many times in the past. But some of them have been pretty static. The city of Arlington, city of Quorum, and city of Lone Rock is just a percentage that goes straight to those cities. The early learning sustainability line item was added in 23, I believe. And previously there was a large percentage of that went to the general fund, which doesn't go to the general fund now. So we're short for a little while in the general fund. We're okay, but it's, I think there may have been a school of thought that the general fund doesn't apply to economic development. However, you have to have law enforcement, you have to have tax assessment, taxation, you have to have district court systems, all that is part of that, but that's what happened then.
Well, I think when they originally did these, the general fund actually had to have some of this money because they didn't have all the other, you know,
That's true.
back when Laura Pryor,
So
they needed that.
yeah. Gilliam County Road Fund, 15.5% goes into a road fund. Workforce Housing Development line item, 8%. Homestead rebate distribution line item, 11.5%. Just a moment, go down to second line up, the Homestead Rebate Endowment Fund. There was 3% put into the endowment fund for the previous, as long as this has been in place, since the 90s. And so that is where the homestead rebate distribution line is grows from. So Let me restate that. It's in both places. Sorry about that. But the endowment fund grows 3%. So then that surplus of what isn't spent out of the line item goes into the endowment fund. Isn't that correct? Yeah, I think that's how it works. And then what we've done this year is the endowment fund has grown to the point that we can increase the homestead rebate amount without eating into the principal and utilizing that homestead rebate line item in its entirety. So it'll be $1,500 per qualifying household. Then there's the economic development line item. This is where we can be a little more creative, I think, with what we do with that. It's general economic development, and that's where I want to utilize the incentive from that part. Or if it ends up being workforce housing from that line. North End Special Projects Grant and South End Special Projects Grant. You can see they receive an equal amount, and this is a grant program that came to be when the ordinance came along, and it the money grows if it's not spent. So the North End has historically not applied for their money at the rate that the South End has. So there's large amount of money in the North End pot and the South End pot. The revolving transition line item is there in case the landfill goes away. There's a provision in there for closing it out, I think. Homestead rebate endowment and business development line item. The business development line item is the MOU with the Chamber of Commerce Small Business Development Grants. So in a nutshell, that's what the economic enhancement ordinance does. It's funds. So, do you have any questions about that?
I do.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you first. Oh,
Mine?
go ahead, Jed, and then Lynn.
Yeah. Can you, I'm newer here, can you maybe share some of the workforce housing projects that have been successful and then maybe how you envision them using that portion?
Okay, that funding was used for the ball field project, the seed money for that, isn't that correct? Yeah, but the,
I've seen.
Isn't that a new one? Didn't we add that? I think we added that.
And maybe
23.
But if-
emphasis on workforce housing
mhm,
that was made 4 or 5 years ago.
right.
Within that deadline, they can't do that project.
It was a Pioneer CDC, the agreement with them, that's where that came from. So that's where the workforce housing.
Thank you.
Mhm. And,
Are they still participating?
yes. Mhm.
Heard about it for a while.
Yeah, they still have their programs that came to us last meeting, 2 meetings ago. Yes, they are. So go ahead.
So my question is on line 4.
Yeah,
That reads early learning sustainability line item.
mm-hmm,
So that language seems to exclude parts of our childcare system in the county. So is it possible to change that line to childcare and early learning, put them both in there so that they can be equally,
mm-hmm.
that money can be equally accessible to both?
Is there any thoughts on that?
So the last meeting, when the early learning was here, they said it used to be called the common childcare, and the reason they changed it to early learning, because that's how the state recognizes it, is early learning. They don't,
Well, that is,
the early learning is the umbrella over all of it. That's what I got out of that.
well, it can be the umbrella over the facility that you have here, and it can still be funded and blessed by state, federal, and everyone else with your portion of it. What we're saying is that we want proportionality in the doling out of the funds for childcare. Here we have a situation that it's earmarked specifically for early learning stability. What we have is we choose in the north end to have our early learning through the school. You guys choose to put a $5 million building up and a $400,000 a year operational cost. We don't do that, but we still want to have our children. We all love our kids in the county. We all want to be equally given an opportunity to utilize this money that's in that fund.
Okay, I want to explain one thing to you.
Says children 0 to 5 on the next page.
Yeah. And so in order to be a licensed facility, there has to be an educational component.
Yes.
So so I'm just letting you know whether or not that becomes childcare, early learning sustainability line item, it wouldn't mean that Arlington wouldn't have access to it right now. Well, I shouldn't say right now because we put it in an endowment fund this year, but locally here. But early learning sustainability line item does not cut Arlington out and make it exclusive for one community. Because early learning is, if it's a childcare facility. I also believe that childcare encompasses all kinds of other things like
That's what I.
grandparents, a spouse, a neighbor to help me.
Somebody who has 4 kids, that babysits 4 kids.
Right, somebody who isn't licensed at
Right.
home, that is allowed to have the number of kids they can have. So I just maybe a larger scope, I don't know.
I'd just like to see some language in there that makes it obvious that Arlington is
Mhm.
included in that, because that language does not include us.
Yeah.
Right.
Currently, we're working on language to make sure that home-based providers, early learning centers, a variety of care for children is accessible. And it's important for families to have choices and to be able to find the needs that meet their preferences. And so my hope is that Gilliam County would, within their language, show that it's an inclusive atmosphere that really is, the focus is on taking care of those kids, but also elevating the providers as well to be business owners.
Right.
And
That amounts to about $1 million a year. So that's a good pot of money to help us solve the childcare issue countywide.
Yeah.
The other issue I think that we're not talking about here is in regard to childcare. Cost effectiveness is important. So the fact that you guys in Condon have chosen to not leave your early learning in the school system like we did.
I'm gonna stop you right there. It was never in the school system.
Well, but it could be. I'm not saying, okay, crime corrected.
Yeah,
It could be, just like we do.
actually,
So,
they don't have room because they built
but
the
for
school.
$5 million, I think I could build a pretty nice little piece of early learning center on the school system, and it wouldn't cost you $400,000 a year to operate it. It would be operated out of the school system. So cost
Okay, so
effectiveness
here
is
we go again. I'm just gonna say, you are picking out the Condon Early Learning Center, and I think we're here to talk about this. And you're going way off the road.
So I
I'm
just
sorry.
heard, yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna back up. You had something to say.
Yeah, and I thought, if I recall in the budget, we were talking about that line on him making childcare, county childcare on that also. So it's not just
And that's something that
One-
would be taken out of a
one
later time.
entity. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So,
And I do want to point out, I think this ordinance over time has been fair countywide. I mean, as you can see, all 3 cities, north and south, I mean, to me, it has been distributed fairly over since the
I
90s.
agree with you,
So,
Georgia.
yeah. Okay, I just wanted to show you what that looked like, so you would know that, you know, what we're talking about with these pots of money projects funding. So lastly is the SIP funding. And the SIP funding was, yeah,
On the road the general road fund.
Mm-hmm.
Does that fund the whole road department? Okay,
No,
and maybe this is time for it, but I'm just curious, AFC and AOC, the Oregon cities just came out and are very concerned about transportation bill not passing.
right.
Is this going to help our road department or
Our,
not?
we're not affected by the 30 or the 50-30-20 split. We're not affected by
Okay.
that. That's separate
Other than-
piece of secured legislation. It's just the local facilities. And by the way, the Condon facility is not closing. There was an article in the Oregonian that said it was, and I think it was a typo. And it's not happening. There is gonna be a reduction of a staff member. So. in
But
case
the
you
one
read
here
that.
is not.
Condon is not closing.
But it's my understanding,
Mhm.
since they did raise the gas tax, no additional funding is coming.
Mm-mm.
So we're not going to be affected in.
Mm-mm. Yeah, we should be okay on that.
I mean,
Hopefully. I mean, one thing I found out in this job is that nothing's for certain when you work for the government.
Yeah, because I believe one year they said they were gonna fund them in a certain amount and then it was 650,000 short,
It
so.
could happen. I mean, anything could happen.
I am concerned about the small city allotment,
Mhm.
throughout schools,
Yeah.
funding comes to around.
Right.
Arlington, and
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
all, but
Um,
not in this.
Online comment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is Gib again. Condon is going to be reduced to 4 employees for winter maintenance. And Mitchell is closing and Spray is going to be reduced to 2. So they are going to be covering more, Condon's going to be covering more area with less employees.
Yeah.
Everybody
I talked
talk out.
to Scott Peters today. Yeah. So he said 1. Okay.
So in Gilliam County, we're losing 1.
Yeah, Arlington is
But they're not.
not going to be reduced. Arlington's staffing stable and they're not closing. Mitchell and Moffett are. So, which is regionally not good either, because we have, people have to travel to us. We want them to travel on safe roads. Yeah. Did you have anything to add, Chris, about it? Did you know about that? Okay.
Jen, did you have more questions about housing? Okay, housing project.
Mhm. Very much interested in any ideas anyone has regarding the workforce housing development line item. So if you have projects and ideas, let's put that line item to work.
I have one question. What are the lots gonna sell for? What is your projected, lot price in the addition you're putting in Arlington?
The various sized lots and, zoning function of those lots, so it varies. We haven't fully established that. Our main objective is to get that infrastructure in, the market it more effectively. When we just see a drawing on a map, flat map, not quite as visualized as getting that infrastructure in there. So that's kind of the timing that will play out. You're welcome to come to the report meetings as they discuss marketing and price point.
So right now you don't have a price point.
No.
Do we know when it'll be complete, when the lots will
That's
be?
schedule is the contract will due to be completed by October. I think they're well ahead of schedule. They've already done most of the road grading. Yeah, that's about a month and a half ahead of schedule. I think you'll see some. It started from pipeline to the well.
Mhm.
Move on well.
Good. Okay, now the SIP funding, the wind energy companies, when they first came to Gilliam County, there were incentive programs for these businesses to enter into agreements with county, or if they were in the city and county, to encourage businesses to locate. And those agreements, of course, included funding, and negotiations took place. These were way back in almost 15 years ago. SIP agreements, there's different kinds of incentive programs, but here, the type of agreements that's been used historically has been SIP agreements, strategic investment program agreements, and they're 15 years long statutorily. And they're an amount of money that the company pays to the county. And then once those dollars, after 15 years, roll off the agreements, then they become taxable. So they're tax rebate programs. So currently, when I started here, this was one of I've got to understand this because I knew we had a large project that would be ending at some point in time. And what would we, in the future, 2027, actually, how much is it? How is it going to affect Gilliam County? Make sure taxing districts and those who've utilized these dollars understand that we only have a little bit of time left. So the Shepherd's Flat agreement has 2 years remaining. The budget year we've just completed in 1 more year, and it'll end in 2027. That's a huge wind farm. At one time, it was the largest wind farm in the world. And Gilliam County has generated a lot of money through these SIP agreements, which we have passed on to the community in the most part. So Shepherd's Flat brings in $3,220,796 paid to Gilliam County annually. And that's going to end in 2 years, and those will roll into property taxes for Code 4. Code 4 is the Port of Arlington. It is Gilliam County, North Fire, North Health, and North Cemetery. So we don't know what those numbers are going to be because they're valued by the Department of Revenue. And so we need some data before we know how that's going to work. With whether or not there will be extra money. But way back when these agreements were determined, I pulled out old minutes to see how did they decide to give this money in grants? Why did they choose that way? And some of you might have been in the room at the time, but it was Gilliam County's choice to offer a couple of different funding streams, capital investment grants, operational support grants to nonprofits and taxing districts for this money. In Sherman County, for example, they have an ordinance. Whenever they negotiate a SIP agreement, the percentages of that agreement are split between certain things such as education, infrastructure. There's a contingency, and they also started a homestead rebate program. There may be more, but that's just an example of the way they have done it. Then we have Montag. It ends in 2023, and it's a small project. It generates about 365,401. And an additional payment in that is dropping off. We were also getting another 400,000, but now that one's going to be dropping off. So it'll be 365 approximately.
So when's it end?
It ends in 2035.
Okay.
Yeah. And
And Chris, what was the question about I know that Chet was having conversations with the IRS. Did that all get?
oh, was this on the appeal?
Tax appeal?
Yeah, the tax appeal, hopefully soon. I need to check on that one. Do you have any news on that? I was hoping it'd get resolved this year. It sounded like it was getting close to a resolution because another similar court case may have applied to this situation that had been settled. So that we need to find out.
And saying that, yes, you do need to pay the debt.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Was
it
that
would
the
be
Delta?
whether or not they win or not. I think it would, I don't want to speak to that, but it sounded favorable. Let me just say that much. So,
that's good.
and the amounts that were withheld from the entities that aren't in the code area are going to get their money back regardless. Jen?
Should be with interest too.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Allen Bridge starting up
Yep.
too,
Right.
that'd be in a 15-year window with minimal
Right. Yeah, it'll be a smaller project as well. I'm thinking around in the $300,000 range too. So I just need people to understand that the biggest project we have is Shepherd's Flat, and it's going away. So we all need to, 15 years is such a long time for people to get used to the funding, and here we are at that crossroads. And the funding has been offered to anyone countywide that's a nonprofit or taxi district. So some of those who have been receiving the funds will no longer be receiving them. Some of them, it will roll into property taxes, so that makes sense.
So I have one question on that. When the taxes kick in, are they valued at the depreciation schedule? That, you know, when the depreciation schedule for those things is like all of us that have ever.
Shepherd's Flat has been repowered.
Huh?
Shepherd's Flat has been
But
repowered.
if is the value that they're taxed on based on the value that it is once it's depreciated, or is it valued on real market value? There's a vast difference. So I'm just curious of how that tax, when the Gilliam County asks for a tax, is it the devalued
I have to talk to the
value, or is
Department
it
of
real
Revenue
market
about
value?
that.
They're valued through the Department of Revenue, so they set the values.
Well, then, okay, so
But-
that would be the depreciated value.
Well, the good thing though about Shepherd's Flat, just generally, is that it was repowered. That means it's going to have more value than it otherwise would have. So, yeah. Okay, so that's basically how the revenue works, and we put $3 million of this funding that I just described in the competitive grant program, 2 million in capital projects and 1 million in operational support. We did have more operational support grants than we expected, but we're going to reduce the amount of capital projects to balance that out. And we've funded some great capital projects with this money. We really have. So I hope when we're done with this, we can list it all out and publish it. So this has been a great windfall for Gilliam County. And in a nutshell, there's a few other things. The city of Arlington and the city of Condon receive a portion of the community service fee, $171,000 each currently, because that goes down as the projects drop off. That's basically the other funding source, which we give that. Most of that money is given. There's been, well, let me tell you this. There's a little bit of support that goes to the library and to the weed control department. And there was a transfer to the general fund, but it was to pay down another. So anyway, that's the SIP funds. SIP funds, economic development and property taxes, just so you understand how it all ties together.
Leany juvenile, that's coming in 27 or 28?
7, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So. And we don't get the money until ground is broken. They're all just on, all it is a piece of paper until the project actually starts, because there's a few of these agreements that have things written in them that never came to fruition. So I don't want us to count on things before we actually have things signed and in place. Where are we at here? Housing, okay, develop and implement early education access roadmap to ensure there is accessible slot available for every Gilliam County child, 0 to 5 who needs one. Is there any comments on that?
Hi there, can you hear me? This is Brittany Dark.
Yes.
I think that it just goes back to the gentleman's point about expanding that from early education to more of a daycare feel. It is really the biggest thing, because there isn't availability in some of the locations, and just opening it up to a wider range to be able to support the business, or the working individual to have care for their kiddos.
Okay, is there anything else on that? Thank you, Brittany. Okay, Strategy 4, ensure Gilliam County is investment ready for funding infrastructure projects on publicly owned industrial land. Redesignated Gilliam County's enterprise zone, and that was done, I'll tell you that. And build upon successful initiatives with the Oregon Frontier Chamber of Commerce to retain and expand existing small businesses and encourage entrepreneurship. Any comments on that?
I think it's fair to comment around the success of Quorum information with groundwork like years and years ago, industrial success there now. It's early, and we're selling property in the Mesa, but it just goes to show what a vision years ago, preparing plans, making progress. And I think that's a good strategy to have within the county. To recognize that you need industrial growth.
Yeah.
Housing growth. Early education, you need all these pieces fit together.
They do.
Good to have a cohesive view.
Right.
How they fit together.
So the Shetler Station Industrial Park is a Gilliam County owned piece of property. Arden Mills is there, which is the bread mix facility. And then the grain testing lab was a vision. It worked for several years and is not in operation now. There was a 20-year federal grant, and there was a 20-year covenant on that grant. So if you've driven by the, going towards Condon, the waste management turnoff, it looks like a house right there on the corner. So we have done all of the legwork to get the covenant released. We're waiting for the federal government to do that. We've OSU, was it OSU Food Science came and took a bunch of the equipment. And they're going for another load because they didn't have enough rooms. That's great that it could be repurposed. We had 150 buckets of grain in the Connex box that we we're working on removing. And so our vision is that will be available for rent. That's going to be available for rent. We're running fiber to it. It's going to be a building that hopefully a business will come into and utilize. Across the road at the 11 acres of the industrial park, Avangrid is interested in leasing that for the repower project for a laydown yard. We're working on that. And that will be a good project. We have the batch plant there. We have another laydown yard from Mortensen right now. Omega Morgan. And so that's what's going on with our industrial park. And we have additional land, so.
Another one, the county's been good to partner with the port at Little Creek. And, there's been some stops and starts there. Just like the grain lab. Like you take it where it is and you make it better and you make it productive for the future.
Right.
So.
Do you have a plan? Is there any
We
ideas?
We did a industrial plan, finished last summer by Quorum Consulting. And we've got an operating gravel quarry right now that's producing a lot of gravel. A revenue generator while we're envisioning further build out of that location. The 64 acres there. There's a freeway exit and rail siding nearby. So
good.
We did put a well in this year. So you just grow kind of one step at a time.
Right.
The industrial is valuable for the county.
Right. Anything else on that one?
I have one thing. Has anybody given any consideration to Mike Cowan's idea of what to do with the grain lab?
Oh, we did discuss what we want to do with the grain lab, and we as a county board decided, we did consider.
Okay, that's been considered.
Yeah.
Now you have a plan.
We decided to put it up for rent. Yeah. Yeah, we did talk about all the options. We talked about childcare. We talked about education. We talked about all kinds of things, but if we own it and we can do something at a later point too, if an opportunity comes along. serve as a supportive, resourceful role to cities, schools, other taxing districts, and local organizations to help improve livability and address barriers to growth in our communities. Yes, definitely. That's exactly what we want to do. So,
And are doing.
anything else on that one? Manage the budget to ensure consistent, sustainable programs and services. That was one reason why I wanted to go through our funding. And we learned at County College, the three of us went, that there is a lot of mandated programs that dollars don't come with. We have to provide those no matter what. So there are a lot of counties that we interacted with that can't do anything but that. So we've been very, very fortunate here to have a couple of other funding streams that have prevented cuts that could have happened when things didn't go as they should, and kept our services going. So evaluate county programs and pursue opportunities to maximize the efficiency and effectiveness of services and operations. Yes. Maintain healthy cash reserves to capitalize on opportunities and protect essential programs and services. Yes, and that's one thing we've seen with the state legislature, things going on in the federal government. There are so many programs within Gilliam County that are essential, that we have IGAs and agreements with. For example, veteran services. We supplement veteran services. We supplement the DA's office. We supplement, we pay for predator control. We have a digital switch that we just made a payment for. We pay it every year for our 911 system, and it's for each of the 3 counties. It's $124,000 a year. So there's a burden on the budget that we have to keep a lot of moving parts going. And so when we ask questions, we want to maintain that healthy cash reserve, because if we said yes to everything, we wouldn't have a cash reserve. So that's just a comment I have there.
On your cash reserves, I know during the town halls, the early childcare was an endowment. I would again stress that I think if there's a lot of money in the economic enhancement, which I heard was about in the last time, I would love to see an operational or housing endowment started. So when all of these go away, we'll still be able to help the childcare housing projects in some of the, and the chamber and other projects that are in the county.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
While we have it, it's best to, if we're going to sock it away, we must sock it away and just go down with it. Something like the homestead rebate.
It's earning the same interest because it's in the same pod.
Yeah, but I mean, an untouchable one and have a professional. I've just personally seen where when you have a finance person that knows how to build market, you're gonna get a better rate of return. And I mean, that's not to say that the city's in the same boat. We use the local government tool. It's got a great interest now. We've been where it hasn't been, but it just think some of that money needs to go.
So what would we do if the county said, we want a big chunk of money for the swimming pool? Where would that come from? I guess, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the goals.
So
I guess it would be, you have an economic enhancement. Is that an economic enhancement goal? I mean, according to the town halls, it was.
Right. So then we would need to maintain some of that 12 million for.
I mean, not
Arlington
saying
project
all of
or.
it put in an endowment, but what I'm saying is if you're building endowments now.
Yeah.
We won't be in applying when the 15 years comes and we don't have that.
That's what I wish would have happened 13 years
Yeah,
ago.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the bullshit.
Yes.
I don't think we saw.
Thought of that, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this is coming from a lot of those, coming from the host fees, so.
Right.
Well, the
And that
economic,
continues to, this coming up also.
Yeah, it will.
isn't the economic enhancement fund from waste management?
Yes, it's.
So I don't think the 15-year windows in the SIP agreement enter into that at all.
No, what I'm
And
saying is
so-
when that money goes away.
Excuse me.
Down.
So what I'm trying to say is that the economic enhancement fund doesn't need to have endowments taken out of it because it's pretty much a long-term thing that we can you know, if waste management goes broke, yeah, we would need the endowment fund, but that's probably not gonna be the case. So when you talk about the economic enhancement fund, I'm totally opposed to putting an endowment on any of that money for that purpose.
And I think
Well, in the
endowment might be
future-
wrong for,
Yeah.
I think setting an endowment, doesn't that, you know, that you could make an endowment, you can't touch it for 10 years or whatever it might be, where if you still set that pot of money aside in some manner,
Mm-hmm,
that you have access to it if you need it.
mm-hmm,
100%.
right.
We have the control.
The endowment word is what I get from.
Yeah, the county maintains the control of it. That's,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
right, but that, and it's there, but it's not in an endowment, because an endowment, I don't think you touch. For,
Or our needs may change in 15 years, but that money's stuck in an endowment, so
right.
your idea is perfect, Marta, that's exactly the way we have it.
Yeah, well, in the homestead rebate, within the economic enhancement ordinance is a internal endowment that is growing, you know, and that percentage is growing, so I mean, the hope is you're just living off the interest, you're not touching the principal, that's the whole goal, whether
Right,
or
and
not
you
it's,
make it put a
yeah.
fund in there
Mhm.
for that.
yeah. But I don't think we have a restriction.
I don't disagree with that.
So, okay, cash reserves, I think I was on to work with elected officials and department heads to seek new funding and create diversified revenue sources, yes. A couple of ideas recently, we have, a pilot project, well, let me explain. It's another tax incentive program and it's a solar project. And in the agreement, it said there would be an optional battery storage, but it didn't talk about a dollar amount. So the company came back to us and said, we would like to offer you, can we amend this agreement? What can we do? And the last talks we had was to come up with some funding for both childcares as a community benefit agreement to handle it that way, because we can't amend the agreement we already entered into. So that's just one of the ideas that I was thinking would be effective, since it's a very important issue. We hear a lot about it and we need to help. So, especially since the SIP funds are going away. Nothing's written in stone on that one yet, but we're trying. Adopt and review annual 10-year road plan to plan for and guide future investments in the county road system. Our road, I've discussed this with Dewey. He says that we have one. Have you seen it?
No.
I wonder
I
what's
saw it.
next. Okay.
I'm sure it's
That's
wonderful.
good. All right, adopt and review annually a 20-year comprehensive county facility plan to plan for and guide future investments in significant maintenance projects and construction of county-owned facilities.
Let me go back to,
Sure.
when we worked with, not just county, but is anybody in the county writing grants, you know, whether the grant? I mean, I think also too, you need to plan, like what you're writing the grants to, but,
Well, we got a lot in the hopper right now because we have a bus farm project
I get it.
and an EV charging grant and North End Fiber
But that
grant.
to be done at the end of the year. I mean,
Mm,
is there a plan for someone to write? There's a Department of Energy grant coming out, there's housing grants coming out. I just wonder, I mean, city writes them, the port writes them. I just didn't know if there was anyone at the county that would write a grant if one got passed over.
Yeah, we're joining McCann.
Okay.
And that we will be doing that. It's not gonna happen today or tomorrow, but we are. And if we had an opportunity that was phenomenal, we would hire in my view, top-notch grant writer to help us do that.
On the kid, what's the status of that? I was just thinking that, 'cause I got one from GDOT.
It's, everything's approved, it's going back to the EDA. And then they're saying 6 to 12 months,
Yeah.
so.
So GDOT just did them out and they're going to. So there's something that,
And I think we're still attached to them currently, according to the article I read, at Gilliam County right there, at the front, but
I was on the board.
Yeah, we are. And it,
Catherine, I agree with you on a grant writer, you know, that's been one of my dreams, because most grant writers, say we hire one that we utilize in both towns, and the county can use them, and that guy costs us $150,000 a year to get the best one we can get, with all of his benefits. That man is gonna, or woman, is going to write probably $1.5 million to $2 million worth of grants. That professional would. So if you look at that from the perspective of return on investment, which I think we all like to do that, that is probably the best spent money the county could spend is on a really good grant writer. You could use one, Jed could use one, the county court can use one, the city can use one. All of us could use a great grant writer. Now, I've presented this before, and I really feel strongly that that's the best money you can spend. $150,000, the guy will get you $2 million worth of grants.
it's important to incentivize their,
Most
how do I
grant
say
writers
this,
work
on a
under-
percentage of what they get.
Yes, but the incentive doesn't kick in, and the incentive is the least of your worries as far as expenses go. When the guy gets it, usually they get 3 to 5% of a big grant. Well, if he gets $2 million, that's
No,
40,000.
That's what we want to happen, because we don't want to hire a grant writer that
Exactly.
isn't successful.
And the top ones you can't get
Mhm.
for just a salary. They're gonna charge you a percentage. That's how they work.
I think that's important, but I also think the most important is you have to have a plan with your grant writer direction.
Right, right,
I agree. Identify needs that we need one
Can't
for.
be healthy.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
So I do know in the mid-Columbia area, Hack Creek Consulting does a lot of grant writing, and they're flat funded for most of the economic development type projects. If they meet certain components and the pillars that are available there in the region, United Way and others pay them. They do not have any incentive, so they're flat funded, but they have to meet those metrics for the region to be able to support that. And I'm taking advantage of that when I was in that region before, and they're very successful and do very well. And it's definitely more than 2 million.
One of the other beauties of having our own grant writer is that he works for us and his interest is us. If Catherine has a grant that she's thinking about she'd like to write, she could walk down to his office, walk in and lay it out. She doesn't have to call
her office.
There.
her office.
She and he.
You see what I mean? I mean, if we have him, his loyalty is with our county.
Yeah.
Or she, if we have her, or, yeah.
Okay. Grant writing. Was there anything else on that, Catherine?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else on that?
No.
Okay. We're hosting the roundtable. This is on goal 4. Encourage collaboration and cooperation and communication between each of the communities that are part of Gilliam County. I think this is really important. I think we are all Gilliam County. There is a north and there is a south, but we are all Gilliam County. And how do we do that? How do we solve that? Any ideas are welcome. Because we have to work together. Because if we don't work together and we try to negotiate agreements with big business, we have this problem in the back of our head that we're thinking about instead of the best for Gilliam County. So,
Well, I had something I was gonna read, and I don't think it's appropriate at this time, but I will say this. That if the monies that the county generates and uses for grants, if they're split down the middle and half stays on the south end and half stays on the north end, all of the infighting, all of the bickering, all the he got more, she got more, goes away. It just becomes, we work together. You know, we all get treated equal. We're all in a fairness situation where it's so simple. Just cut money into, you guys in Condon want to spend it on whatever you want to. We're going to give you the go Condon. And, you know, we expect the same from you. let's just split that money so that we all get a shot at it. That's gonna require 2 grant committees, one here and one there, because you guys know what you want up here, and we know what we want down there. We'll take our half and we'll spend it economically, wisely, and you guys will do the same up here.
Okay. What grant, what money are you talking about?
The money that goes out every year for grants
Okay, you know where that comes
and the
from?
economic enhancement. Fund.
That's the SIP funds. And they're gonna be gone in 2 years, as we know that. I shouldn't say gone, unless there's new agreements written. So I wasn't sure what pot of money you were talking.
Is this the funding that goes through the small business grant funding that he's referring to?
All monies that are tied to grants and IGAs county gives out should be split evenly.
Gotcha. So I just wanted to
Well, why
give
don't
you
we
just,
put all the taxes into one big pot, split that all evening too, so we could do that.
Thank you, Leah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brittany,
I'm sorry,
Just saying.
yeah, I know, I just wanted to let you know that the small business development grant that is funded through the county and administered through the Oregon Frontier Chamber, we do actually do that. We separate the funding in half and do a north end, south end, and then emergency for, other outstanding things. So it is, but one of the things that we struggle with is that the lack of applications from the north end. So one of the things that we are striving for in this next grant cycle that's going to be opening here soon is to get the word out and make sure that the north end is applying for the things. So if you have any suggestions to that regard, please let us know.
okay. Thank you.
And that's why the special projects pots are uneven, because it's divided equally every year, but the north end doesn't apply for as much as the south end.
Well, and the North End though has very few 501c3s. We don't have the nonprofits. That, the nonprofits are in the south end. So there's a lot of things that play into that. There's not as many people eligible to receive the special project fund in the North End or the south.
Right.
So, but it is certainly,
Right.
it's tried to be divided equally and it just hasn't. Well, and
Right.
that's why we talked about it a lot.
And it's
trying to
been-
figure it out.
It's the way, it was the way it was structured
Right.
13, 14 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago.
There's the strategic plan that the last court had got in the way of being able to utilize grant funding on the north end. They narrowed it down to where it was either childcare or housing projects. And that took up a
Healthcare.
large portion of it. So, and then the other part that all of the state and philanthropic organizations support is historic. Arlington has no historic. I applaud Condon for the beautiful buildings they have. I support 100% the upstairs deal. I support making this city a beautiful spot that people will love to travel to look at. Having said that, those grants that they can get to do that beautification and the elevation of the fun and joy of visiting that town is not available to Arlington. If we had a little grant committee composed of a couple of our rural people, city council members, some of the 501c3s, those people could get together and determine a wise way to spend our half of the monies that are given out through our court system. We don't want more than our half. I mean, we generate most of it in the north end, but we're more than happy to share it. Condon, we love Condon. We love their school kids.
Well, it doesn't sound like you wanna share with Connie, you wanna split out in half. I think this is. What? This is a whole thing.
Put it down the middle, it's selfish.
Here's what the deal is that I foresee is, I'm on the court. The most developable part is North County. It always has been, always will be. The river, the freeway, everything. That's why all the development is there. The thing is if we have a good project, we're gonna enforce some of that. And if you guys have a good project, I hope you put forth something with that.
Mhm.
I think this half and half is what they're doing with the small projects, more power to you. But I think it needs to go by project. Are you ready for a project? We
Well-
just happened to have a group that was ready, and 501c3s, I'm trying to think of, even if we do have 501c3s, we formed them now. I mean, I don't see that as a very, I think what this whole plan would do is split us even further apart.
So
And
that,
I'm from Mayville, I'm from the part of the stuff.
that would
Well,
drive us further apart, that would unite us.
There, and I'm more past it.
Being greedy and wanting to have all the projects up here drives us apart. What split it down the middle does, Catherine, is it gives you the knowledge that you got exactly your half. You can do what you
Okay,
want
so
with
let's
it.
move on to people, we have more
I'm
people.
not done yet. And then we could.
Okay, we're gonna stop.
The other
Yeah.
side.
Lynn, we're gonna stop. No
All
more.
right.
Okay, you can talk outside about that.
And help that. And for you.
Well,
Yeah.
and if we, yes, I think,
I mean,
this is what I think about it, and I understand your idea, and I appreciate the fact that you thought it through and you presented it. I thank you for that. But I thought a lot about IGAs, MOUs. I think about agreements with thought that someone may present to us for their own community. That's another way, just like you did with the incentive program. If there's more need in one area, are we going to hamstring another for that? Let's use something as an example. Arlington School District and Condon School District, this is a small example. We created an IGA together to fund their dual language program. We built into that dual language program, it's a $60,000 program that Gilliam County's funding for them to have. Was it dual language? No, sorry, it was a college. It was a second, dual credit, not dual language, dual credit program. So that they could get college credit and high school credit at the same time. So we're emailing back and forth between Arlington School District and Condon School District. Here's the IGA. What are we gonna do about the fact that if Condon doesn't spend all of their 30, can Arlington use some of it? And they agreed to it. So collaboration is a huge part of what we have to do to get things done for all of us.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate what you said, and, but we only have 1 or 2 years left on the SIP funds, and we're almost through with them as we know them, and maybe they'll be reimagined in a different way. In the future, I don't know. There may gonna be a lot of different needs, and the economic enhancement ordinance already has percentages by program. You're getting your equal part, Arlington is, Condon's getting their equal part, North End Special Projects and South End are all getting the same already. So,
I think there have been very few projects that have been applied for that have not been funded. That is minimal, so I don't know how you give money to entities that aren't applying, or seeking out funding opportunities. That's the biggest thing. We look at the historical data, there are very few projects that don't fund.
Right. 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 Okay, moving on. Improve accessibility to Gilliam County personnel and services for all citizens. That, yes, I think that's important and is happening. Goal 5, be a strong voice for Gilliam County and Salem and Washington D.C. Take an active role in organizations, AOC and NACO, to foster relationships and amplify our influence with state and federal decision makers. We have a good relationship with both. It's been a very interesting legislative session. Lots of communication, lots of reach out. AOC is wonderful, so.
And I'm just gonna say something back on your report that, that Rivers County funds to encourage public entities and accessibility to Gilliam County personnel. You guys did fund, and remodel the whole, old Gilliam County Fire District.
Oh, yes.
In Arlington, that became our new Arlington Regional Office for the Sheriff's Office in Arlington. So that
Good point, Chris.
huge undertaking, for the sheriff's office, and it was a huge, collaboration with the Northfield Fire District that now is this part of the sheriff's office. And I just looked at the plug in that on August 7th, there is going to be an open house from 5 to 6 for that new office down there in Arlington. That is accessibility to people for Gilliam County Personnel Services.
Yes,
as well.
and that's really true. Yes, and that's good. You took a building
Yes,
that needed help.
yes.
We put Gilliam County funds into it,
Yes.
used some COVID funds as
Yes.
well to put into that building and,
And made it,
Yeah, it's really a nice
yeah,
building
it's a
now.
great building.
And the
But
ground.
yeah, August 7th, is, yeah, we're gonna do an open house and then following that up with a community night out. We're actually doing 2 community nights out. Tuesday, August 5th in Condon from 5 to 7, and then that Thursday, August 7th in Arlington, starting out with the open house and then going to the fire hall for 6 to 2.
Mhm.
It's, putting a plug in for everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. That's a good point. Partner intentionally and collaboratively with neighboring counties to address common needs and advocate for regional concerns. Yes, we have that. You all do it with all the boards you're on. Just at a 911 meeting today in, Sherman County. So we have the regional 911 system here in Condon. It's Gilliam, Sherman, and Wheeler counties and Jefferson County. And we also, a separate entity, Frontier Telenet owns the backbone system that provides the radio system for that. So,
Chris, on this one, I'd like to raise up just the concern for our EMS.
yes,
and ambulance services and
Yes.
what they're facing in Fossil, Oregon. I
Mhm.
think we're, 3 volunteers shy of that potentially being an issue here.
Mhm.
In Condon, Arlington's faced it,
Mhm.
time and time
Yep.
again, so.
Yep.
Just hope that this is are we looking for solutions?
Grant might have something to say about that.
Well, I think, say, all the communities that filled these roles with volunteers, the day of that, being able to meet that need is getting less and less.
Yeah.
Just like in the South End here with the volunteers on, I don't know how many positions they have here, but it's just getting tougher and tougher to fill those voids with, or not voids, but positions with volunteers, and people already have a job. They can't do 2 jobs. And
How is the county working on looking to support those entities long-term for potential solutions for volunteer or paid positions or?
well, I think that's something that we're gonna have to look at going forward, because we're not gonna have an option. We're gonna have to help support somehow, because there's nothing on the state
Right.
or,
I think that North Gilliam County Health District, and I don't want to speak for another entity, but they should be fairly healthy when Shepherd's Flat rolls off. But they have a lot of need there with the freeway.
Yeah.
Commissioner Watkins, did you have any EMS thoughts?
No, it's just it's really hard to just drag people in and
Yeah.
say, volunteer and go through all the training and,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
I wondered if there was an.
You have to
incentive
have
program
people.
That is the county putting aside some of this economic enhancement fund for job creation around EMS or funding for training or scholarships that somehow, I'm just curious if there
It's-
could be something
It's
there
an
that
idea.
we're talking about.
I know,
or-
like I say, it's just, even the schools, I don't know about this end, but I know the North End, they had some interest. 2 or 3 years, we had some kids, but this year there was none. Or actually the last 2 years, I was told that there was none, but like I say, with the SIPs going away and we don't know where the taxes are gonna be. I don't know, the economic enhancement, we might have to change that too, because we've gotta have those services.
We also have some negotiations coming up for a large company. And when these are the ideas we need, so that when we sit down and talk to them, we haven't forgotten anything. So really, that was one of the items on the agenda, and all it was that I wanted to say is we don't want to miss anything when we negotiate with the company. And the only way we're not gonna miss anything is to have all of you help us know. We're gonna have to have strong law enforcement, strong roads, strong EMS, strong fire. We're gonna have strong schools, strong childcare. We have an opportunity to do some wonderful things, but we have to remember to build in all the whatever it comes to, whatever number it comes to, we want to remember all the pieces and the parts. So.
Can I just say one little thing? With this SIP agreement going out, it's important that we find out what basis the tax is drawn on these people once they SIP runs out. If it's on a depreciated schedule, that's one value. If it's on market value, that's another value.
Our assessor can help you with that. If
And
you
the
call check.
third thing is that these people have $1 billion+ invested in those machines. If they decide to walk away and not pay taxes on them, the next thing they have to do is they have to take the machines down and return the land. That's in their contract. So for us to be sitting around here scared to death, that's part of their negotiation tactics. They want you to scare you that all this stuff's gonna happen.
Who's
They're
scared?
not going anywhere. They're gonna repower these things. The machines are gonna be good. It's just business.
So I just kind of texted Chad a little bit and asked him, are the windmills taxed on the equipment or on the revenue that each windmill generates? Since taxes are determined by the Department of Revenue. I was just wondering how they figure on how much taxes are. And he said, both. It is a complicated formula.
Yes.
And he said, and then I said, does the depreciation of the windmills make a difference as they age? And he said, the price of power and interest rates are the biggest factors.
Okay.
Their value based on the company, they have value according to out by state, I think, yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Okay, good. But we don't want to we can't make promises. We can give you general information. Okay. So discuss upcoming tax incentive programs. That's all I wanted to say is that please spread the word. If there's things we want for our community, we need to have all the ideas on the table. So everybody needs to present those. You can send an email to the county board, call any of us with those ideas. Last item is county leadership team. This was just kind of discussed in the office, and it is a possible way to help with, just gonna say it, the north-south divide. If we, it wouldn't be any, in my vision, and I'm gonna allow Brooklyn to say hers, to be able to bring people together, when we have an item to discuss. Let's say we have a major housing crisis or something like that, we weren't ahead of it, or a major EMS crisis, that we bring people together so that we can talk about, we need help figuring out what to do about this. It might be about anything. Those are just a couple of examples, but Brooklyn's idea was just meet quarterly, and it just would be a group of people to meet with individual county court members. But that way we're not creating a quorum situation. And we would welcome input at that time to talk about how to get through whatever it is. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think really it's just an opportunity to have a unified and strategic leadership county-wide. Gives people the opportunity to have direct and consistent communication, which pulls you out of your individual silos and brings you into more of a group atmosphere, I guess, where you can share information across the multiple sectors that make up the county, whether that's grant opportunities, local challenges you're having, upcoming community events. I think that when your leadership is aligned at a higher level, you have trust from your public, I guess. If you have a shared purpose or coordination efforts, that'll bring more confidence in base level, I suppose. It allows for mutual support both professionally and personally. A big part of it is working with a network of peers who understands what it's like to work in rural Oregon.
and the challenges that we face and the positives as well of working in a rural community. Where you can share in each other's successes or provide personal encouragement. It's building positive relationships, not necessarily professionally, but also personally, and helping out your neighbor and being true neighbors of you already are in Salem County. We're in a very unique situation here where we're small enough that we have 2 cities, 2 communities, I guess, plus our rural community members, but a lot of counties don't get that opportunity to be able to have your superintendents of your schools, your directors of your nonprofits, or representative from your taxing districts to sit there and have maybe a not so structured conversation, but just provide updates quarterly and you guys can communicate about getting your challenges and your successes. Having aligned goals and strategies, which in turn will just increase the impact of the programs that we have when everybody's on the same page with them, so not in the same types of programs, you're looking for something. I think it takes I guess a good group of leaders that are willing to foster that kind of open communication, with regular intentional meetings that just create an atmosphere that people want to be involved in.
Yeah.
Want to partake in the conversation.
I like the idea.
I just said it's on long term, setting up your future. Succession management is a good thing we talk about in our world.
Succession management.
How are you bettering your employees that work for you or the leaders that are coming up? And how do you instill something for your future generations? I guess.
Yeah.
That is one thing that nice viral example is.
Brooklyn, can you speak up? Sorry.
Sorry.
I can barely hear you.
That they're just, I guess they're just important aspects of communities to gather and talk about whatever it may be that's happening within your
Right.
sector.
Yeah, I think it's good.
But I think it's important too for whoever is on that team, and I think it's a great idea, because it really does foster that community feel of, is that those people are willing to take off their hat of what they are, who they represent, for example. And then they're able to remove that hat and represent the whole county for the greater good. You know, not just, there's a piece of it, because they're gonna fight to the death to make sure that they get their 20K. And somebody else, but they have to remove that feeling and embrace the community and it can't be called the community of Gilliam County. You know, it's the community of Gilliam County, not the community of Connex, or the community of Arlington. It's the community of Gilliam County. You're removing your hat. I think to do that.
Trust amongst your leaders as well, trust on your engagement projects. That further just makes, I guess, future planning more effective.
Yeah.
Right, when everybody is on the same page and trust one another.
And then they can say,
Yes.
it's a safe environment, safe, talk.
Right. Yeah, I think that's great.
Brooklyn, I have a question online, is who do you envision attending the quarterly meetings?
We talked, with someone within the county, so it doesn't have to be led by the county or hosted by the county. Other entities can take that opportunity to host it. Again, I think it's a very, in my mindset, it's a school superintendent, it's the directors of the nonprofits or the administrators of the taxing districts.
Yep.
Or, it's the big players who, and it's not the entire team of those places, it's the leaders of those organizations and groups, they want to sit in. And it's not every nonprofit if they're not about it, but it's at least your taxing districts, your big players that are gonna have big projects in the future.
Communication.
Leaders of your community that folks are looking up to, and when you are all together on the same page, it's that process. Close community, which we're already very fortunate to have.
Yeah.
We have
Countywide.
countywide out in Gilliam County. It's there, and we support one another in times of tragedy. We're all very aware of that, and I think that having these kinds of last environment conversation for decisions are moving, where we can talk about challenges, successes, both personally and professionally. Allows for people to open that trust and take their hats off and work. Yeah, for that over and over again, the five, I think this is an idea that. Sorry.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll pursue that.
Yeah.
You have a letter.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm Jonathan Foss, I'm the new superintendent of Arlington School District and excited
a-
about
Concept to present.
concept to present, yes. So we've been talking about endowment fund. I looked up endowment fund to kind of understand that because maybe there's a little bit of a misnomer, but it does say at times that generally the core amount is intact. And essentially, the interest is what, generates the funding, but so I use it probably a little loosely in my concept as well, more in that general colloquial term. And what my concept and idea is here, with the financial barriers of the students that are graduating at Arlington High School, and the National Center for Educational Statistics indicates that only 16% of the population of Arlington has beyond a high school degree. There are many barriers for the students who are graduating for them to be, let's say, not so excited about applying for college or trade school and without the opportunities and funding available for them to do this. So my ask here is part of the ask for the funding that's available, an opportunity for the company that we haven't mentioned, which is Amazon, clearly, coming forward, is to ask them for some of this to start an endowment fund. And it wouldn't be just for, from this company, and it could be an opportunity as well that, as you're talking about doing IGT, and we get Michelle Gear in the conversation as well, and do this collectively. So not just Arlington, but both school districts together. And we do a county-wide endowment fund for graduating seniors, and not just assuming that all seniors graduating want to go to a four-year college or a two-year community college. Right now, I think many of us know that there are trades out there that people are making far more than people going to college at this current time. And there are shortages out there. In the, let's see, I'm trying to remember a Rural Life magazine, an article that came out a number of months ago. It said in the trades in Oregon is approximately only at about 60-some% at capacity for the availability of people interested in those jobs. So that's 40% shortage out there in most of these jobs for electricians, et cetera, plumbers, the trades that we all need and are desperately seeking. We own a home here in Condon, and I also live in Arlington now as well, so we're in both towns. And we all know that sometimes trying to get somebody to come to your home to support you to get plumbing done or something like that, it can be weeks or months that go by. So clearly there's a shortage. So we don't want to just assume that with this endowment fund that students are just going to go off to a four-year college. We want them to have the opportunity to also be able to be in a trade school if that's of their interest. And this funding would go towards that. And so the average college, community college tuition, if there's room and board included across Oregon, is about $21,000 per student per year. For the average certified trade school program, it's approximately $15,400 per student. So essentially, my ask is, so we were looking at this from both districts, it would be over a 5-year period, $400,000 approximately per year to get us to about $2 million in 5 years to grow that endowment. We know that not all students are going to take advantage of that, but at the same time, as an endowment, it's going to continue to grow. And then once that grows, I think many people in this room know with their conversations about grant writing and other things, when you do have seed funding there available already for an endowment, other people have a greater interest in being players and funding in that. So beyond Amazon, let's continue to talk to other people.
I do think one of the challenges too is getting the kids excited about whether it's going on to a community or a university or a trade school or whatever. I know that last fall they had a trade show was put on, and I think, I don't know if that had been done for a long time in the communities, the schools, but I think that part of that, getting them to drive to go that way is, keeping them introduced or where they can visit with people or get a sense, that's part of it too, but it's definitely a challenge.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I think endowment funds too are tax deductible, so people could contribute, they could leave their estate to it or
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Where when we have one within the county, it's not tax deductible.
They could leave herds of cattle. I mean, it could be, could we imagine, yeah, could we imagine a community foundation that supports access to care, early education, and post-secondary success, where it's really centered around kids 0 to 24 and their success. And within that foundation, the community foundation, it's, you know, supported by the county, led by the community, but it's really it's really taking care of our children.
Who in turn will take care of us in the later years.
That's
So,
an economic driver for them to be in a different place,
Yeah.
so they can continue to take care of us, go on to college, maybe come back. But there are 2 communities I know of in the state of Oregon that do have this, and any kid who graduates there gets full ride essentially to college, and that's Sherman County.
Okay.
And also Philomath. So I know it's out there. The
Is
concept
it, is
out.
that, maybe that's what the education money in their SIP agreements came from?
Possibly.
Well, and it's important, though, the county has always given, there's 2 educational foundations that are 501(c)(3)s in Gilliam County, one in Condon and one in Arlington. And Gilliam County, and the county has, historically given money to both of those 501(c)(3) in order to be passed on to the kids.
Right.
And, which is really great, but it's also interesting to support what Grant is saying. I'm on the Arlington Education Foundation as a grant.
Good person.
Yeah, but we offered, scholarships, $2,000 to 2, or I think 4 kids last year who graduated. And the only thing they have to do was show us that they signed up for college. 2 of them. There were 16 kids in the class.
Yeah.
We gave 4 scholarships, 2 of them, even asked for the money. Waste management gives to all the kids, and all they have to do is show that they went to college. 2 of them get, out of 16, 2 kids asked for it.
Yeah.
It's like, what do? You're not, it's like, come on, all you have to do is ask for it.
How you fix that?
you can't drag them.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so it's an unfortunate, it's a huge challenge, and we discuss it all the time. How do we get them together?
Yeah.
How do we get the kids? That's your job.
Kid recently, who's helping out during the summer, to come back on a panel later to talk about his experience and share with other kids. Because I'm a middle-aged white man, how am I gonna excite kids in the same way that, you know, their peers are? So bringing in a panel is really the way that in the future, I think, is going to excite kids more. And bringing in people who are in the trades and other jobs in the community, and what they've done, what their role is, what their path is, have them come in and share their role and their passion with the kids. And that, I think, is really gonna be a driver that's gonna help. Is that something I can change in 1 year, or anybody can? No, but over time, this is a direction I feel that we need to go. That's gonna really help kids understand and feel more empowered to do this and take advantage and talk to them about, there are only 2 kids. And I went to the graduation. I saw who those 2 kids were. They got almost all the scholarships.
Right.
So there were a few others that got some, but 2 got 6 or 7 each.
Because they're the ones who asked for it, they're the ones who put in the work and asked for the money.
Yeah.
So it's like you want to reward those kids for doing that extra work, and they deserve it for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know in Vermont, it's counselors, school counselor does a lot of it. But
I think in our that is happening. Cindy did a bunch, Cindy from, tried it. So anyway, but
Okay.
my reason for that was that the county does support education in that manner, not to the amount of dollars that you're looking
I'm
at.
looking for
But they do have always
Yeah.
supported, so it's been appreciated.
We'll put it in the file.
Yeah, and this would be all the funding they would need, so they would need to apply for the other 2,000, 3,000 from waste, et cetera, or
Right.
3,677 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That they had, something like that, so.
I know that you,
Spread it out.
you your passion has been grant writing in part, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I
maybe
just
we need
applied
to
for one today.
communicate. Yeah, just about the general discussion about grant writers,
Yes,
get some leads on that. And see if we can maybe
Absolutely.
get something
and I'd
going
be
to
happy
help
to
all
be
of
on
us.
that.
Mhm.
committee. Super.
Thank you. Is there any other comments, any other questions?
I have a general question.
Uh-huh,
It's regarding the planning director position. I know that you all signed up with City of Portland.
right.
And Stephanie has done a great job, I think.
Mhm.
But I really have a strong belief that that needs to be somebody who lives in Gilliam County and works in the Gilliam County courthouse.
Mhm.
Or, you know, a couple days in Arlington perhaps, but,
Right.
so I'm just wondering what the status of that is.
It's continuing. There's a yearly review. If there's input on that, the next time we renew, we should do some outreach, I think, about that.
Well, and part of the problem is there is kind of a shortage of planners
In that
in
field.
the whole state.
Yes, and it's
So,
true.
and you know, how much money are we looking at to pay somebody to get them to come here? And I think that,
Uh-huh. I think that was a big part of it.
yeah.
I know.
And
Sherman
I
County-
think they did put out for a little bit to see if there was a planner out there, and
The agreement does say that they're supposed to be here.
Right, she's
I
got a
don't
car.
know whether that is.
Yeah. I'd have to check. and see
maybe we
exactly
need
what
to
it says.
enforce
If it
that.
says she needs to be here. Yeah,
Well, even if she's comes from Arlington to
yes, and that's allowed.
the ground, right, to the ground.
Right.
Right, I do know, I have heard from other people,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm on the planning commission. They called me and said, so what's going on? Why can't we get in touch with this person? You know.
Right. And she was out on medical leave and there was a
But she was for a
miscommunication.
long time. Carla was there.
Yeah.
Carla knows everything.
Yeah.
So,
I know that Sherman County just hired a planner with no experience, so that's all they could do. So that's,
that's
Yeah.
scary too,
Mhm.
with everything that's happening in the
Mhm.
county.
right.
well, in the industry we have in this county, to hire somebody with no experience is,
They
Mhm.
get eaten alive.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Cause I know that, Waste Management was almost to they were working on their 10-year permit or whatever it is, and they were concerned when the recall happened, and we weren't sure about where we were going with the planner. They had grave concerns about that, so.
Mhm.
But I think everything's been working all right with the
And
planner and waste management. Cause they have a similar landfill. Situation, so.
Okay, is there anything else?
So I heard if we have ideas for the potential influx of funding to send those to who?
Any of the three of us?
Any of the three of
Or
you?
Anya?
Okay,
Mhm.
and what if we're interested in being on the leadership team? Brooklyn?
Yeah, or can you compile that? If anybody contacts you about the leadership team? Okay, thank you. Good. Okay, thank you.
So can we put that out on our website then?
Yeah, but don't you think we should really decide to do it at a county court meeting if we're gonna do it?
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of take some formal action at our
Mhm.
next meeting that we're gonna form this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With a schedule of meetings and just so everything's out
Mhm.
there in
Yeah.
public.
Yeah,
Cause quarterly would be,
yeah, quarterly would be doable. Yeah. Anything else?
I just wanted to point out to you, trade schools, I was a carpenter for a lot of my life, and plumbers, 701 operators, electricians, fitters, there's an apprenticeship program out there. They don't need a scholarship. They need to be.
Yes.
Your counselor at school should guide that person in to whatever his aptitude directs him, and he should be the guy. You could start as an electrician for $27 an hour. That's not too bad. You get paid to learn.
Right.
And it's the same way with the 701. We're so happy to have the 701 in Arlington. I just can't tell you. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
when you want to get these guys in trade schools, you need to get your counselor educated to where, it's a union job, there's nothing wrong with that, the benefits. I've got a lot of friends that went through the electrical union, not one of them left the union without $1 million in his retirement. That doesn't include his social security or his, union, the union pension. So, you know, that there's,
Yes.
these guys retire, they get $150,000. My son is electrician union, $150,000 a year, nothing.
Also, you have kids who go to, diesel mechanic school.
Yes,
Or
that's
things
different.
like that, that's
very
different,
specialized.
that's,
That's what I'm-
Yes,
Right,
you're absolutely
right.
right. Those
or
guys
maybe
need help.
beauty school, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
exposure,
That's
getting
college,
exposed to
whatever.
it.
Product and education conversation, as long as they go to the next step, that's, we don't care
Okay.
what the next step is,
Okay.
it's the next step.
Mhm.
To help
Yeah.
them.
And we did, we paid somebody for beauty school.
Okay, yeah,
So,
so, yeah. Okay, anything else, Tom? Did you have anything to add? Sorry, you had trouble getting in. Okay, if there isn't any further business, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.